What is up, gamers? Welcome back to today's video. Today we are on part 6. Yes, that's right. Part 6 of our Middle East Doodle Empires video. So, a lot of things have changed from the last episode. Let's go over them. So, as you can see, the map is wildly different. So, first off, we have huge Lebanon. You have a heavily expanded Yemen. Yemen has expanded. An independent Somalia. The changing of the Iran colony's leadership. Kuwait forming their own new ideology, Kuwaiti republicanism. We have the Caucasians expanding to a degree. We have the explanations of governance. We have a great war rising. And yet another war. So let's go over the main sides for this war. But before we do, let's see if this war is averted, though. So, Caucasian, Caucasian and Kuwaiti government. So the nations who lead these two, right? So these two will meet up along with the Kuwait and UAE. They all meet up right here. They all meet up in this. This is like their diplomatic building for the Iran 7 to meet up in. At this point, however, so they all talk, right? When they talk about what should we do. One of our member states has just united with the Cypriotian government. Yes, I know it's Lebanon, but they're basically the Cypriotian government name. So basically, they find out about this, and they're like, what should we do? Should we attack? What should we do? Meanwhile, the Yemeni government wants to, the Yemeni government, as well as the, Lebanese. So, Lebanon wants to retake Cyprus and all this sudden Turkish land. In Yemen wants to see these guys win the war for Greece. The Turks and Albanians want to partition Greece between each other. And the Caucasians and Kuwaitis, do not want to see their alliance over Iran collapse. So let's see what happens. So, the Sultaness of Turkey, and then all the leaders who represent the Greek nations. The Yemeni leader, the Ethiopians do not go because they don't really care enough to go. The Somalis don't go either. The UAE and Qatari, the dual crown leaders, will go. The Kuwaiti leader goes. The general who leads the Iran colony, she decides just to be safe not to go because the people tell her not to go. So she has to trust them and not go. So all these guys meet up, right? They all meet up, they all talk, and by the end of it, they all think, oh, this is gonna go good. Except, unfortunately, an Anatolian guy. So basically, the Anatolians are like the Kurds of this series. The Turks hate them. They don't want them to exist. The Anatolians exist like right here around this river. All this area is like the Anatolian area. They want to be independent. So while the Sultaness of Turkey is going back to the capital, she is shot and killed by an Anatolian, and they are found to be using someone's gun. And it's someone else's gun, not a Turkish gun. Someone else, another country's gun. So Turkish government will almost immediately blame the Greek. They also blame the Lebanese, and they also will blame Kuwait. Kuwait almost immediately shows that they were not involved at all. So the Kuwaitis are quite offended by this. However, the Turks stop accusing them. So now it's either Lebanon or one of the Greek nations. So as a result, the Sultaness is killed, and she will be replaced by her son, Sultan Hadir. Sultan Hadir is like his mother, peaceful and a flatliner, but he cannot let his mother's death come in vain. So what he does is, he sends an ultimatum to these Greek nations to basically force the shooter, so the shooter almost immediately fled to Greece, and the Greeks let him, because in the chaos, he was able to slip away. So as a result, they basically sent an ultimatum, and they basically warned that if you do not, we will go to war. The Greeks are like, no, we can beat you in a war. So the Turkish government declares war on the Greeks. Albania joins, because the Albanians were the primary. The Turks were like the main backer for Albania's independence, and Albanians joined. Then the Lebanese and Yemenis who want the Greek peninsula to be influenced by them declare war on the Turkish government. Then the Kuwaiti government will declare war on the Lebanese because the Kuwaiti government is not going to allow their former ally to be under hostile control. The Caucasian government decides to so basically Kuwait says, "Hey, Caucasia, if you join this war, we will let we will give you even more economic control over the Iranian state, like even more control than you already have." So Caucasians will accept this, and so now we have three coalitions. We have the Turkish coalition against the Greeks, who are led by Albania and the Turks, right? We have the Greek nations who are being supported by Yemen and Lebanon who are fighting the Turks. And then we have the Kuwaiti Caucasian government who basically just wants to see Lebanon's power be reduced. So these three will go to war. And the Turkish government was already prepared, so they will be doing to make the first move. They will almost immediately start to blitz onto Crete. They will seize Crete, all of Crete, for around the day. They will then seize these Greek islands. They will then start marching along the border. The Albanians will then start to move as well. The Turks told them just to be safe. The Turks will successfully. The Albanians will be successful in forcing the northern Greek government into joining them. And what they do is they hold the leader hostage. Or the Albanians they hold the Greek leader hostage, and the Turkish government threatens to bomb the rest of the two other Greek nations. So the Greek people there. So basically, all the Greek people flee. And so now they have control. So Albania will then start to march. They will have a small expand. So their army is in disarray right now because they just annexed a huge portion of Greece, but they will start moving down the Greek peninsula. Then the coalition will start moving. The coalition for Greece will begin to move. First off, the Lebanese government will have a union, and they will not. They can't unite anyone right now. They're at war, so they can't because the Yemeni government doesn't want to unite with them. So, the Yemeni government will, however, go on a medium expand. The Yemeni government will start marching into the Turkish controlled Egypt. Meanwhile, the Lebanese government will, as I was saying, the Lebanese government will build a castle to ensure that their land is protected. So the Lebanese government is at this point preparing their troops. They're also reinforcing their front lines, and over here, because they figured the Turks make the first push. So the Caucasian army will then start to move. They will adopt a religion. They will adopt Taoism. Let me just hold on. Let me just do this thing real quick. Hold on. Let me just. Okay. Now we're good. Alright. So the Duchy of Cypriotia, which I can't even tell where they even are at this point. Does anyone see that little green dot? Aside from me, I can't see it at all. Alright, but anyways, the Kuwaiti government will begin to move. They get a small expand. Their army will start marching along this river, and they will be successful. Then, the Caucasian government will start expanding as well. They will meet up with the Turkish border. They will not invade. They are not attacking Turkey. They are going after the Lebanese. They will successfully get their land united, and then their two army groups will start marching. The Lebanese government will finally get their armies in position. They will then start an invasion of Cyprus. They will seize the eastern part. They will then get a large expand using their military. They will successfully seize all of Cyprus for the first time in a while. They then decide to start marching in down to the south. They will seize Fort Retribution, a fort built by them. They're planning on getting retribution on the Turkish government, and here it is. So now, the Turkish government will start to move as well. They will get a union. They will forcefully unite Western Thrace under their rule. The Albanians will change their history. While this is happening, they will forcefully unite the Central Greeks under their control. Meanwhile, the Central Southern Greeks will be forced into a union. They will be forced to unite the Albanians. So now, the Albanian-Turk coalition now has control over all of this. And so now, at this point, understandably so, the Greek powers are worried because the Albanians have just taken over nearly all of Greece, and the Turks have stolen Crete. The Lebanese own Cyprus. So, the Turkish government, who got what they wanted, decides to start reinforcing their front lines. This, as they then decide, you know what, to declare war on Lebanon. So they do. The Yemenese government, the Yemeni government, then says, all we want is all the land up to this fort. Turkish government will reluctantly allow them. So Yemen is no longer going to attack the Turks. They will only attack up to this line. Only up to here. After that, though, no more conflict. The Lebanese are still going to keep fighting, but the Yemenis agree to leave the war for now. Like they agree to stop fighting once they reach the line. They will have a union. Obviously not. They will unite with the Ethiopians, expanding their power greatly. They will then get a larger expand, which is enough to start seizing the land they want. They will take all of this. Once again, the Turkish government would much rather be at peace with Yemen than, be at war with them. So, they agree to let this happen. The Yemeni government has officially reached the borderline, which is like right here. So the Yemeni government has got what they wanted. They're out of the war officially. They've left. So now the Caucasian, it's only down to the Caucasian Kuwaiti coalition who are fighting the Lebanese, and it's now and the Turks are fighting Lebanon as well. Well, now Lebanon is being attacked on two fronts, actually three fronts, because Caucasian. So given this, the Lebanese government will ask for help. Let's see. The Greek government that's going to be completely taken over by Albania, so they refuse to help. So now we'll see what happens. The Lebanese government will successfully get their troops, and they will begin marching along the southern Turkish coast with no regard for their manpower. While the Turkish government will attempt to respond. However, their leader, because of the fact that he has lost southern Turkey and he got the Turks into a huge war, has been overthrown. Well, the better word is he's gotten. Let's just say he's been put to rest permanently, if you will, by his own cabinet, if you will, his own friends betrayed him. They shot him, stabbed him to death. So now they decided to have his chief cabinet member, the one in charge of the runnings of Istanbul, or it's now called Said City, in charge. So now Sultanate is now in charge of this guy, and he is quite good at the military because he's had to fight off some threats before. So he will be successful in heavily dealing with the Lebanese. It will be pushed back severely. Then the Albanian government will come knocking butt before they can. A small split breaks out. As it turns out, Yemeni money was being sent to South Greece even though they left the war. So South Greece rises up again. And the Albanian government was, although they were expecting instability, they were not expecting a revolt, especially right now. And they were planning on one. They knew one would eventually be guaranteed, but they didn't think it'd be this early into their seizure. So the Albanian government is kicked out of all of this, and this will heavily destabilize the area. This will weaken Turkish lines, and now Turkey will have to send aid to the Albanians. This doesn't happen to them. the Albanians will have enough money and they will be successful. They will seize any Turkish pockets of land. They will seize these islands. They will then start marching. They will take over this island. At this point, it's not the Albanians have made gains, but the South Greeks are not going to give up. The Lebanese will fight on, and they will have they will change their history. While this is happening, the Kuwaiti government will start an invasion. They will get a large expand. They will retake this area. The Kuwaiti government Kuwaiti people will be emboldened and will continue to strike further and further into the heart of the land. Caucasians will get an expansion. They will start moving down this river. They will seize all this. The Caucasian military is finally fighting. Caucasian were generally quite peaceful. They were like pretty diplomatic. I mean, don't get me wrong. They fought sometimes, but they genuinely were more peaceful. The Yemeni government, weaponing the treaty prevents them from, marching in further. And so in exchange for, agreeing not to, invade, so basically in exchange for being allowed to take more of North Africa, the Sultanate, the Sultan, the leader, the Yemeni leader will agree not to interfere with Turkish ships in the south. Because if the Yemeni Navy gets involved, then it's going to be even harder for Turkey to fight back. So in exchange, the Yemeni government is allowed to expand. And then they will further complete some of their goals by uniting with more of Ethiopia. They will get a large expand. They will use this to their advantage. At this point, Turkish North Africa is collapsing. The Turkish government is happy to give this area up. They would much rather be at peace with the Yemenis than be at war with them, because Yemen is probably the strongest nation on this map, economically and militarily. By land, you can tell they are by far the biggest nation. The joint colony has Israel's money funded into it, which the leader is angry about. Leader will unite, and she will unite with the Eastern Iranians. She will send diplomats, and they will unite. She will then have to tell her men the manpower she just got. This is unauthorized, by the way, but they would much rather have the leader be making moves and being popular than they would have an unpopular leader governing it. A small split happens, but the general is so popular, which, that doesn't happen. Basically, revolts are not happening in this nation at all. A new leader is chosen. It's only temporary. This is only a temporary leader because the leader in charge, Katza, she has been sent to fight against the Lebanese by Kuwait again, which angers the Iranian people, but they'll get over it, hopefully. The Age of Unity restarts, and then they will have a union. Kuwait will unite. Who will they unite with? Now, they could unite with Qatar UAE. Now, if they do this, this will single-handedly shift the power dynamic of much of the Red Sea. So, in exchange for agreeing to unite, Qatar UAE is allowed to keep their king system. So Kuwait is now officially just arguably the strongest nation in terms of like stability and economy. They're probably the strongest, not in terms of military though. The Kuwaiti military under Katsia is making major gains, as you can see. They are just stomping the Lebanese army. Meanwhile, the Caucasians decide temporarily to halt their movement because right now they're giving over their land to the nomadic lords who control each province. So, I think I mentioned this last video, but Acacia is ruled by a nomadic government. They use a nomadic government. Darius leads the capital province. This is like the capital province, this area. Every other province is controlled by a leader, like a warlord. And basically, they give 10% of taxes to him, but in exchange, they're allowed to do whatever they want. But they are not allowed to get into any, like, wars. So, like, for instance, like, they're not allowed to do anything insane unless the government allows them. So if the warlords want to do minor things, like take over a few small areas, like they can make small treaties. But if it's like a large treaty, like an alliance, they have to send it over to the Darius. He's the leader and founder of this nation. Northeastern Iran, divergent origin. The Sultanate of Turkey will have a new sultan. The old sultan, given his deal about North Africa, is unpopular with the aristocracy because they want more economic land. So he is like the previous leader. He just gets killed by his own cabinet yet again. So he is replaced by another member of his cabinet. So at this point, Turkey is getting more and more unstable by the day. Unfortunate. Or fortunate, depending on who you talk to. So Sultan, this guy will rise up as a new Sultan, and he will expand. Now, he wants to go to war with Yemen, but he's worried that if he does, he decides to wait. He wants to wait till the end of the war, which is more stable, so he waits. He will instead, however, go after the Greek. He will secure all of this. He'll take all this, but he will not land in Greece itself. This is because if he does, he's worried that the Yemeni government will invade, because he does not want war with the Yemeni government yet. He wants to get North Africa back, but he can't do anything major yet. So what they do is, they decide to send the manpower, pushing the Lebanese back. Lebanon is weak. They're not crippled, but they're weaker. Meanwhile, the huge new Kuwaiti government will start to march further. They march quicker and faster. The point is, they're marching. Alright. The Kuwaiti government is doing extremely well right now. The Kuwaiti government will unite with Qatari Oman. And now, Kuwait now controls much of the Red Sea, much of the Indian Ocean and Persian Gulf region. They control all of it. Because they now have 50% they control over the Iran colony. Because the UAE and Kuwait, so basically the way it worked was simple. So Caucasia had 25%, Kuwait had 25%, who else? Qatar UAE had 25% as well. They were like the four main members. And then 5% of the overall profits each nation got were to go to the minor members, which are Yemen, Turkey, and the central Mesopotamians. Central Mesopotamians unified with the Lebanese, so their cut doesn't count. Turkey is they got kicked out, and Yemen isn't like a member anymore. Like Yemen decided they're better off leaving. They're leaving. Yemen leaves, and no one really cares that Yemen leaves. I mean, they're stable, but they want to get rid of these territories. Like, this land they control in Oman is somewhat unstable. Like, all the land past this little strip is pretty unstable. This island is... Somalia's independent now, so... The Omani government is in a good position, they're not crippled or anything. Like, they're somewhat stable. Kuwaiti government will have a small expansion. Kuwait just will not... This non-stop expands. The Cassia person, the woman who was the first and fourth ruler of the joint colonies in Iran. She's like Napoleon this timeline, if you will. Like, she's making all the innovations in the military. She's like the best general the Kuwaiti government has. Really, any nation. So, after the war, they want to keep her as general, but she refuses. She wants to go back to Iran. And if they fire her, well then she probably could fight the Kuwaiti military, honestly, with her skills. So they decide at the end of the war, they agree to give her the leadership of Iran after the agreement, and they agree. And eventually, Iran will be given independence. Eventually, because Kuwait is like a major war and they lose, because Caucasia can't be the only one funding it, because Caucasia doesn't have a land border to it. Like they get their cut from the Kuwaiti, from their border with Kuwait. If it wasn't for Kuwait being a member, then Caucasia wouldn't be able to be one. Because they only border this portion of the empire. They don't even border the rest. Like they're planning on making a land border, but the Iranians are probably gonna get independence in turn 600. That's like the plan. By turn 600, they're gonna get independence. The Iranian government. So Lebanon decides to do something quite risky. They will move across this river. And the Turkish government is, they're not doing as bad as they were earlier, but still. They'll get a small expand. The Turkish government decides to, march. They will build a castle right here. They'll get a large expand. Finally, the Turkish government will unite with Albania to reform the Turkish Empire. Before that, in order to reform it fully, they want to be able to take over all of Greece. And it seems like they have succeeded. The Turks have retaken Greece. They may have lost most of North Africa, but they'd much rather have this land. So, at this point, Lebanon is crippled. The Kuwaiti government is making huge gains with their general. Caucasia is, at this point, doing really well for itself. So as a result, the government agrees, the Lebanese government agrees to meet up with the Sultan of Turkey, various, the Kuwaiti president, the Kuwaiti president, and they also agreed to meet up with the leader of the Omani Republic. So they all meet up, right? And here's what happens. So, in exchange for being allowed to keep Cyprus, they agree to the borders. So, the border is to be roughly here. So here's what's going to be. The Lebanese are allowed to keep everything east of this river, but they will lose everything west of this river. Plus the stuff that Caucasian and Kuwait have already taken. So everything east of this river will go to Kuwait and Caucasia, and everything everything west of this river will go to the Turks. They are allowed to keep Cyprus, but they are also forced to completely agree that the Second Omani Republic are the only owners of this. So, the Turkish government they want to unite with someone, but they can't. They don't really board anyone who wants to unite with them. So let's look at the faith map, because the faith map has gotten heavily changed. So first off, you can see that Christianity has been completely wiped off the map. It no longer exists. The only nation that did exist was Greece, and well, that got obliterated, as we all know. Buddhism still exists, only in Lebanon now. And they want to make their own. They want to restart Christianity, but they can't at this point. Libyan Islam dominates much of the south of the world. The Kuwaiti Republicanism dominates much of Mesopotamia. The unified religion controls all this. Taoism is certainly big. So, So we are going to go, alright, and that is going to be the end of the video. However, they will agree to follow the promise, and so as a result, yeah. Oh wait, no. Cassidy is re-given her position as leader of Iran. Somalia will have a split, and basically what happens is the Yemeni government will take over all this area. So the Yemeni government formally declares itself, redeclares itself as the leader of Somalia. So the Yemeni government plans on invading. You will build a castle now, right here. Let's see, Kuwait. They will build another castle. That's gonna do it for today's video after we're done with this castle. So I hope you all enjoyed. If you enjoyed this video, comment, like, subscribe. I hope to see you all later.